Hi BookTube, it's Stephanie. Today I'm going to talk about all the physical books that I have DNF'd and still want to give a second try. So DNFing books is something that I'm actually kind of bad at, unless it needs to go back to the library. Or if I literally have no interest in the book at that moment. Usually when that happens and I own the book, I will just put it in a pile and then I will hopefully pick it up one day. Now, these are all the books that I have on said pile that are basically taking up space, because I could mention The Power of Hades and Age of Deception, or Age of Deception, I think. But they are e-books and they don't take up physical space. So that's what we are going to talk about, because I need to get this pile down somehow. However, that means that I need to give them a second try or just finish them in some cases. So I have just piled them up here and we're just going to go through them one by one. The first one I have here is actually one that I technically tried to listen to. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Yes, I decided to DNF this audiobook because I did not want to listen to it at all. And I actually avoided picking other audiobooks that I would have maybe been more interested in, because I was like, well, you are currently listening to one. But I decided to DNF this and I will give it another go. Maybe physically, I don't know, but... okay, this one. This one, Ninth One's Gambit by Yoon-Ha Lee, made me feel stupid. Yeah, I just remember that feeling, and it's just... like, I was confused if it was due to the terms being used. Could be that it's because it's English terms, but I was confused if they were in space spaceships, which the cover would imply, or if they were on the ground fighting. For the record, they were on the ground fighting. I read 2 chapters, then I felt way too stupid. So yes, this is one that I'm just scared of. But this one, I need to be prepared for it and be prepared to feel stupid. The good news, for me at least, is that from what I've heard people talk about this book about, okay, that was a weird sentence. Nevertheless, from what I've heard, these are dense, even though they are really, really short. Oh, and yes, in almost all of these, I will have a bookmark, because I keep the bookmark in, so that I know where I ended off. Yeah. So I need to finish them or decide to get rid of them so that I can get some bookmarks back. Now the next 2 books are in the same category, as in I started to read them and then for some reason I couldn't continue, and then I needed to wait for them again. The first one is A Memorable Empire by Arcadia Martine. I really, really enjoyed this book. I read to like here, something like that, 2019. And then I had to return to the library because other people wanted it. And I decided that due to how much I loved the beginning of this, that I would invest in on my own copy. I just have not then picked it up. So it's not on my normal shelves because, yeah, I technically DNF'd this. But this is one that I definitely want to get back to. I just loved the way this was built up. And if you are primarily a fantasy reader and you want to bridge into sci-fi, try this. I would say this is a brilliant crossover point to try some sci-fi if you're more used to fantasy. The next one I'm embarrassed about. I got, well, let's just hold it up. The Counselor by Ej Beaton. I got this as an e-arc, and then for some reason I didn't start reading it immediately. And then when I started to I just love this. However, the last day, like day and a half that I had access to the e-arc, I got sick. I didn't feel well, it doesn't matter. And I was so annoyed because that meant that the e-arc was then cancelled, so to speak. So I was like, well, the book comes out in 2 days, I can pick it up then. However, it didn't come out, or it did come out, but it wasn't available and or sold out. And I got this like 6 weeks afterwards, and I just haven't picked it up. And I decided to DNF this after many months of just being on my unread, because I hadn't had the inclination to pick it up because I was interested in other things. And I am so embarrassed by it because I absolutely loved the way this story was told, and I'm too embarrassed to get to it because I'm embarrassed that I haven't gotten to it. The next one is The Hobbit. This is Swedish new covers by an artist that I really enjoy his work by. And yeah, I'm about halfway, and again, I need my bookmarks, but I need to finish the books. But yeah, I like this. It was written pretty simplistically, or it is written pretty simplistically, and I just need to start it again because I do want to reread the Lord of the Rings trilogy, but I want to read this first because this was my first read of it. So yeah, and I have a hole there. Lovely. But yeah, need to get to this. Then we have a book that also ended up on my, I'm just going to call you DNF right now, because I haven't had even the inklest of like, oh, I want to pick you up, even though I want to read it. It was a body read. She has finished it. Has she finished the second book? I think so. But yeah, and that's It of Brass by Ej Scharkovsky. Yeah, this was one of the books that I was reading when I was visiting my friend in the northern part of Sweden, and it basically was a bit of a clash in how we like to spend our time. Her like background sound was Bones, the TV series. That's not my background sound, so, and I used to enjoy that, so she just kept on rewatching episodes, and I couldn't focus on like any reading at all, so I reread books. And unfortunately this was one of the casualties to that, because after getting back from that vacation, which was really fun, I loved seeing her, I just didn't feel like reading anything, like at all. At least not that I was currently reading, and unfortunately this was one of the books. And yeah, once I cleared out, I was like, I'm just gonna put you in DNF, will pick you up again, but right now I just can't have you in the pile of currently reading because it's stressing me out. Then we have another book that I'm halfway through, and that is Wondersmith by Jessica Townsend. This is the sequel to Nevermore. And this one I DNF'd because I got bored. Because at the section that I'm in, I'm at chapter 13, there have been a lot of like circling repetitiveness that just bugged me. And I did attempt to start this, but I literally just went, I don't want to. But so many people like this, and I don't mind the writing style, I don't mind the story, it's just the part where I ended my like when I decided to just pluck it down. It was in the middle of the medical readathon for the Owls 2019, and I just went, I don't want to read you, like at all. So I didn't, and yeah, again, I need to give this another go. I actually remember quite a lot from it, so yeah. Honestly, those books are the hardest to DNF because you don't hate them, it's just you're not interested in them at this moment, and Then when they kind of get, holy crap, you're just nagging right now, you don't want to pick them up, and then they just lay there. The next one is very controversial and another body read, and a book that I picked. Yeah. Legend Born by Tracy Deonn. I am pretty far into this. I'm on page 292 of, well, 500 and something with the acknowledgements. I'm more than halfway through, but I just couldn't. This was one of those books where we're like, there's too much going on in way too small time frame, and I can just see, like, I can predict so many things, and they are not logical. They are not like, you can't expect someone in 2 days to do this, and like, it was just, honestly, I think it's the time frame that bugged me, and I feel like if the two things, the author thing and the root magic thing, if they had been split up so that we start with the author thing, because that's what this is a kind of like retelling of King Arthur, and then going in with the root magic, I feel like I would, it would have been shorter, because this does not need to be this long. Already I can say that, for me personally at least, because I know so many people love it. And I think part of it is because I don't know anything about King Arthur. Maybe if you have that background, it doesn't, like, I think it is because this is marketed very heavily on the King Arthur aspect, and then we don't get any information about the system, nor the explanation about why creatures who were in Europe would follow them into this new land. Wouldn't they just have stayed in Europe now when every single person have left that would protect the common man? Like, it doesn't... This is what I think about. I think about the logic in, if the people protecting, if the knights leave the people that they are supposed to be protecting from these monsters and these creatures, why would the creatures follow the knights so that the knights can kill them, instead of just stay... Rant. I DNF'd this. This is one of those that are very close to, will I just DNF this completely? Or will I, like, try to read? Like, I ended in the middle of chapter. That's how sick of it I was. The writing style is nice, and it frustrated me so much. The next one I DNF'd because I didn't feel like I gave it the attention it deserved, and that is Cage of Souls by Adrian Scharkovsky, in which we are following a man who gets sent to this prison island in a world where we have like one city left, and then all around we have mutants, we have creatures that have been transformed. I love the cover, I love it, and I really have enjoyed his writing style in this, so far as I've gotten into it. It's just, yeah, I didn't feel like I could give it the attention it deserved, because again, this was one of the books that I think it was, yeah, currently reading when I went to the northern part of Sweden, and when I got back I didn't feel like reading anything that I have started, so there's that. But I do want to get to this as soon as I feel like I can give it the attention it deserves. Then the last book here, because as I said, I'm skipping the ebooks, is the book that first joined the pile. And this book has not left that pile, because yeah. This is City of Lies by Sam Hawke. This is book 1 in the Poison War series. or duology, I don't remember. I do know that the sequel is out. I DNF'd this in the middle of chapter 2. I think. Yep, chapter 2. Which is like long chapters. I don't mind them. I actually prefer them. But apparently a lot of people were disappointed in it. That's a different thing. This starts out beautifully. The way the city is described, I just adored it. But in this we're following, I will give you details because I need to give, like I'm on page 66, like of over 550. Like I need to at least try a little bit more. But basically, we are following two siblings in a country in which we have that it's ruled by, like, the men are in charge of a lot, but the lines go through the women. So if you have a lot of daughters, that's the good thing. Like if you compare to our Western society where a lot of sons, at least historically, has been the important thing. And we are following these two people two siblings who live with their uncle, and their families are food testers for the ruler. I don't remember what is it called. Chancellor. That's hilarious. Consular, chancellor, yeah. But then the chancellor and their uncle get poisoned, and they need to solve the murder and what's happening because there are troops outside, and their best friend is now the chancellor. Now, the issues I have with this book, and this is why I did not pick it up, because I put it down and then I just got more and more annoyed the more I thought about it, because there are some. First of all, I didn't care that their uncle died. Like, I can understand they not being close to the chancellor because the chancellor is close to their uncle because they've known each other, but the siblings are not supposed to work for him. They are supposed to work for his nephew. But I didn't care a fluff that their uncle died. I did not care. And if you compare that to the consular, like right there, I cared that the queen died. I cared. In this one, I just, because there was no relationship building there. I know it's his uncle and oh, that's sad. But why should I care when I don't know the uncle? The uncle is just an uncle. So it's like, okay. And then, like, there's some like sentencey things or structuring things. Like, for instance, the brother Jovan, I think. Jovan, he's the person who's supposed to know about these poisons and are supposed to test for the poisons, while his sister Kalina, she has gotten trained in something else. And apparently her brother doesn't really know exactly what she has been trained in, but we don't find that part out from the brother's point of view. Like, it's not like he's the one who goes, I don't really know what my sister has been trained in. No, it's his sister who says that he doesn't have. And it's like, yeah, but you know. And in the context of this paragraph, you should tell us what it is, because it would make sense. And just more and more things started to grind my gears. This is one of those that definitely, if I decide to do a real on-haul go through, this has a real possibility on being on that, because of how annoyed I am, and I've only read 1.5 chapters. And it has nothing to do with the story. It has nothing to do with the world building. That's kind of interesting. It has all to do with the structure. Because you should know why you are being trained and what you are being trained for if you're supposed to use it. Wow. That was a slight rant I ended on, and I could continue. I'm not going to. But yeah, these are the physical books that I own that are books that I would like to give a second chance to. There are two, and I think you can figure out which two that is, that I might just put on my on-hold pile because they grind my gears too much. But tell me about the book that you have down below that you have DNF but you want to give a second go. And till next time, bye.